Every video game achievement hunter has had that one moment in their life when they come across a challenge that they can tell right off the bat is going to take a while. However, there's a while, and then there's whatever this lot is. I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 video game achievements that take the longest time to unlock. Number 10, Bladder of Steel Rock Band 2. So let's start with a classic. Music rhythm games like Guitar Hero and Rock Band are already pretty demanding when it comes to finishing some of the songs in their catalogs on higher difficulties. However, what if you had to complete all of the songs in one painfully long sitting? Well, the infamous Bladder of Steel achievement in Rock Band 2 requires the player to finish the game's entire setlist without pausing and failing any of the songs. This means an uninterrupted concert of over 80 tunes, which winds up to more than 6 hours of continuous gameplay. And if you somehow manage to mess up any of the songs along your way to victory, you need to start the entire setlist over. Now, this achievement sounds extremely brutal to get, and judging by its title, the game developers definitely knew what they were doing. However, the challenge doesn't necessarily have to be torture, as if you're willing to trust your friends' skills with the game, which I definitely am not, you can always invite them over to try and get you through this challenge together. Number 9, Giant Accomplishment Call of Duty Black Ops 2. If you ever thought that any of the challenges in Black Ops 2 took a long time to accomplish, then what would you say to an achievement which can only be obtained by completing all of them? That's right, the Giant Accomplishment in Call of Duty Black Ops 2 requires the player to finish all of the challenges in the main campaign. Luckily, this doesn't include the challenges in the multiplayer and zombies mode, but you will still be looking at around 80 challenges in total in a campaign that normally takes around 7 hours to finish. The game has 8 missions to complete, each containing 10 unique challenges, and this means that you'll be spending a long time trying to get them right before moving on to the next stage, which will increase your standard game time exponentially. The worst part is that the entire time you'll need to be extra careful as well about what you're doing with your save file, as starting a new game will erase all of your progress on the challenges, forcing you to redo every single thing that you just accomplished. Number 8, what a long, strange trip it's been, World of Warcraft. The World of Warcraft achievements list is filled with ridiculously difficult challenges, such as the infamous Insane in the Membrane achievement, which requires the player to max out their relationship with minor factions who can only be appeased with hours of grinding. What a long, strange trip it's been, though, is an achievement whose difficulty stems from the fact that you technically need to play the game for a whole year, as its objective is to complete all seasonal events in the title. So you'll have to master the challenges in Warcraft's version of Halloween, Christmas, and a bunch of other holidays, and if you fail to finish the questline in any of them on time, it's one more year of waiting for you. In true holiday spirit, the achievement is mostly a way to celebrate your dedication to the game and reflect on all of the great memories that you made while spending a whole year adventuring and chatting with your online mates. Number 7, 7-Day Survivor, Dead Rising. The idea of being pressured by time is a really unique concept in Dead Rising, but it can also get a little bit annoying when you're trying to save all the people from the zombie apocalypse and the clock just won't stop ticking. This is why unlocking Infinity Mode in the first game can feel like a huge wave of relief, as it allows you to finally explore the mall and do side missions at a more relaxed pace. Well, that is until you start going for achievements like 7-Day Survivor. As the name might suggest, a 7-Day Survivor requires the player to survive, 7 consecutive days in Infinity Mode. On paper, that doesn't sound like that much of a big deal, but in reality, 1 week in-game can take about 16 hours of real time. On top of that, since you can't save in Infinity Mode, you're pretty much forced to play non-stop, with any failure you might experience on your way to Day 7 forcing you to restart the whole thing. It's no surprise then that this is one of the hardest achievements to get in the title, and definitely the most time-consuming. Number 6, The Mob Squad 3 Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV is an MMORPG that is ripe with all sorts of distractions from the main story. There are plenty of locations and quests to keep you occupied for hours and hundreds of hours, but one of the more time-consuming activities in the game has to be its achievements. Now, there are many achievements that'll take an average player a long time to get, simply due to how difficult each challenge is. However, the Mob Squad 3 is incredibly time-consuming because you have to wait for 18 hours every single day, 100 times over. And that's because the achievement requires the player to send their squadron of NPCs on special missions 100 times. Which is a simple description admittedly, but is incredibly deceitful in practice, as one squadron mission takes about 18 hours to complete. This means that if you're really efficient, you could technically get the achievement in a little over 70 hours, but that'll still take about a quarter of a year. What's worse is that there's really no way to speed up the process. Whereas most similar types of achievements take a long time because of a currency limit which you can omit with in-game purchases, this one will take forever no matter what you do. Number 5, Persistent Survivor Crusader Kings 2. Now at first glance, Persistent Survivor sounds rather simple to accomplish. The achievement requires you to start Crusader Kings 2 in 1867 and finish it at the end date of 1453, which is basically a regular full campaign of the game. However, according to Steam statistics, only 1.7% of players have gotten this achievement. Why? Well, because in order to play a full campaign of Crusader Kings 2 from start to finish, you need to invest around 90 hours of your time into it. And that's just where the difficulty begins, because the next step is to survive 7 centuries of medieval wars, intrigue, and random events that will likely throw your kingdom into turmoil. It doesn't help that, due to the game's optimization as well, in-game time starts progressing slower the further you get into your campaign. The truth is, however, that a lot of people simply just get bored of their campaigns after a while and just want to start a new one. Consequently, you can encounter plenty of accounts on Steam that put hundreds of hours into this title but never actually got to the end of it. Simply put, it doesn't take 600 years in real life to get this achievement, but it'll sure feel like it. Number 4, Lasso Master, Halo the Master Chief Collection. It can be extremely difficult to fully complete a single game, never mind getting 100% completion on several games in a row. And hell, getting 100% completion on 4 different titles on their hardest difficulty level is the kind of madness that will drive you insane for hundreds of hours. And unfortunately for you, that is the exact challenge that the makers of Halo have laid out for the franchise's most dedicated players. See, Lasso Master is an achievement that requires you to beat 4 Halo games on legendary difficulty with all of the challenge skulls turned on. I mean, Lasso itself literally stands for legendary all skulls on, so at least you know what you're getting in for. For those unaware though, these skulls in Halo games are effects that can be activated to make the game even more challenging than it already is. Most people struggle to beat the game on legendary difficulty alone, so adding all of these random modifiers into the mix is just downright masochistic. On top of that though, you have to take into consideration that in order to complete all 4 of the games normally, you need at least 34 hours of time spare. With the inclusion of additional challenges, this number rises exponentially. Number 3, My Kung Fu is Stronger, Mortal Kombat 2011. Everybody knows how brutal Mortal Kombat already is, but who would have thought that its achievements could get even more sadistic? Well, My Kung Fu is Stronger is infamous amongst Mortal Kombat players, as it requires you to perform 150 X-ray moves, 100 fatalities, spill 10,000 pints of blood, and spend 24 hours playing the game. Sounds tough, right? Well, these are just the requirements for a single character, and you need to do all of this for all 28 that are in the base game in order to get this achievement. So, just crunching the numbers of hours that's required to play as one of these characters, you'll need at least 672 hours to get this bad boy. So yeah, you pretty much have to play Mortal Kombat exclusively for a whole month with only 4 hours of sleep on your schedule in order to get this achievement as quickly as possible. But the fun doesn't stop there, because since you have to play as all 28 characters, you'll also need to adapt to the moveset of each one. For example, most characters perform X-ray specials immediately, but Johnny Cage needs to parry an incoming blow to activate his. Long story short, you'll spend a lot of time mastering your Kung Fu. Number 2, Seriously, Gears of War. The Seriously achievements have a long-running history in the Gears of War franchise. And that's because every new title in this series has had its own seriously achievement, and each one becomes increasingly more difficult to accomplish. Now, this all started with the original game, which required the player to kill 10,000 enemies in ranked versus matches. Even if you were good at the game, it would have taken you hours to get that many kills, and yet when Gears of War 2 came along, the developers decided to rack the numbers up even further and increase the number of kills to 100,000. From then on, the challenges for all of the next seriously achievements would keep getting more ridiculous and more demanding. Each new iteration required you to fully complete the game and then some. A player would put in hundreds of hours into obtaining them and still only be halfway through all the goals that they needed to meet. And the newest version in Gears 5, of course called Seriously 5.0, was even divided into chapters. It was that big. Now, these achievements have obviously become a huge staple of the franchise, and nobody could really envision another Gears of War title without a Seriously 6.0 thrown into the mix somewhere, but still, damn, that's a lot of time. Number 1, Super Go Outside, the Stanley Parable. The Stanley Parable, which began as a cheeky little mod for Half-Life 2, has become well known for its constant breaking of the fourth wall and meta-commentary on video game narratives and choices. Its clever humor and tongue-in-cheek tone became such a huge success that it was released as an actual game in 2013. Now, the Stanley Parable enjoys interacting with its players in-game and playing little pranks on them in a way, but its antics and trolling extends well beyond its gameplay. And that's because the game's achievement list is full of nonsense, which oftentimes requires the player to do things completely unrelated to playing the game, such as messing with its settings or changing some of its files. However, the most brutal achievement in the Stanley Parable, well, if you want to get it honestly that is, had to be the one which required you to do absolutely nothing for 5 whole years. That's because Super Go Outside is an achievement which is obtained by not playing the game for 5 years in a row. Of course, some people manage to find a way to cheat the system and get it by changing the date on their computer, but if you wanted to get the achievement legitimately, which I don't know why you would to be fair, you're going to have to wait. So yeah, if you're planning on getting that honest 100% completion, patience will be the key, and a lot of it. So that's our list. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Did you get any of these insane achievements here? And are there any other super long ones I missed off? Let me know, and while you're down there, could you please give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to WhatCulture.com for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't though, I've been Josh, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.